Hey, what's up, everybody? Unrested here, and I did not expect to be making a video update the day after coming back to my channel. But right now, as of today, about 6 or 7 hours ago, um, Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister of Japan, was shot. Last time I did a check on the article concerning his assassination attempt, it appears that he is in the hospital in critical condition, although it's not looking like he's going to survive. He was in Nara at the time, giving a speech near the Yamamoto line, and he was attacked from behind by a man wielding a shotgun, and took two shots and went down. And the man, 41 years old, was arrested right after. And this is kind of a wild thing for Japan, guys. This is not something that happens. Shootings in general do not happen, let alone happen to major political figures and players within the political sphere of Japan. This is unprecedented. I can't believe this happened. My wife immediately even called me right after it did happen, and that's just because this is not something we're used to here. There are guns in Japan, but they're super regulated, like to the point that if you own a gun, the police keep track of how many bullets you own. The area which he was shot was Nara, which is more of a countryside area, and so it is usually seen by like farmers who would be living out in the wilderness to own a gun to protect themselves and their land, mostly just from like wild stray animals within the woods. But for the most part, you don't deal with shootings in Japan. Yes, there are stabbings. Yes, there's even been school mass stabbings before, but there's never been a single school shooting here. I realize this video is probably going to be banned ASAP from YouTube, being any sort of monetized, and probably shadow banned too, but I just feel like this is something I got to talk about. This, I think, kind of speaks to the state of Japan right now. It is more chaotic than it's probably ever been since I've gotten here back in 2007 when I started living here. I kind of feel like things have kind of drifted into chaos. And I think it kind of started around the time of coronavirus and how it was handled, where small businesses were shut down for so long that a lot of them went under. I myself had my own business shut down because we were a school where kids couldn't, cross-contaminate each other by coming in from multiple different schools for an after school. I did receive government help for being shut down at the time, which was helpful, but it was kind of a scary time because I didn't know how many students were going to come back after coronavirus finished. But there was a lot of small businesses that were completely deleted from the roadmap of any kind of entrepreneurship, especially solo-owned mom and pop shops, which are pretty big out here in Japan. Now, the motive has not been given yet as to why this guy followed through with an assassination attempt. I want to call it an attempt because the final status of Abe is not known, but it's not looking good. I don't think he's going to make it through. He's 67 years old. He was unresponsive and in a coma the last time they reported on it. And when he was wheeled away from the place where he was shot, it wasn't looking good. So, of course, my thoughts are with him and his family. I I don't know if he'll survive this, though. It doesn't look good. Whether I agree with his politics or not, I don't agree with someone being shot. Okay, so no matter what your personal thoughts are on that, I hope you're with me on that you don't want to see violence carried out no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It really says a lot, though. It does say a lot about where Japan's at right now. A lot of small businesses shut down. A lot of elderly people here in Japan barely surviving because the amount of stipend that they're given monthly is very low because there's not a lot of new young people being born or taking on jobs or paying into the social security system or government pension or, retirement money, whatever you want to call it. Every country seems to have their own title for it. And it's kind of scary to see that happen. especially due to the fact that it was a shotgun too, like something that could have hit more than just the prime minister and injured innocent people. The one thing I did hear about this guy was he was ex self-defense force. If you don't know what that is, that's pretty much the equivalent to Japan's military. Although Japan is not allowed to have a military, they do have their own self-defense force, which is like, I guess, if any kind of war was taken on to Japan, they would defend Japan, but nothing has been put in place to like have an offensive team within Japan, which I mean, I really don't know what they need right now. I don't know if I don't think them having an offensive military right now would be needed. We're not under attack by anyone. I know people always hear stuff like North Korea launching missiles, but their technology is so obsolete and outdated that I'm sure Japan has stuff to counter any kind of missile coming close. And on top of it, we have the U.S. to defend Japan here, which probably, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but they're still very strong allies, and America would defend Japan in a second. This is just kind of a scary time. Like, I'm really shocked that this would happen in Japan. Have I ever seen a shooting go down before? Yeah, of course. Like, there's been shootings, but usually it's either gang related with like the Yakuza, or, it's a shooting dealing with like a bear in the woods out in Hokkaido. But a shooting done by a normal everyday civilian on a well-known ex-prime minister and very well-known politician, Shinzo Abe, is just, I'm kind of speechless. I'm kind of like brought to like, I don't know what to say about this. I think people are in desperate times right now. The actual, I guess, would you say worldwide or global or international capital possessed by the yen right now is at the lowest it's been in ages. I think it's 80 yen to the dollar, which is pathetic. There's not a lot of imports coming into Japan. There's not a lot of exports going out of Japan. Trade is at its worst that it's ever been. Multiple universities are on a razor edge of going like completely bankrupt because they weren't allowed to accept foreign students to pay expensive tuitions for like the last 3 years almost now. And like I said, a lot of mom and pop shops are shut down, and a lot of small businesses not making it, farms not doing well, the population to be cut in half by 2050. We're still on course to do that. It's not looking good. I mean, I would say probably within the next couple of years, you're going to probably see Japan go down the rung on the ladder of financially secure countries. We dropped to number 3 behind China within the last couple of years, the last decade or so. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Japan fall like a few more notches before anything's finally resolved. And I mean, there's so many reasons for this. The main reason is that politicians do nothing for the people here. I mean, they are pretty useless. They're out for themselves first. And I think this is every country, honestly, right now. I think this is every country. Politicians are out for themselves first. The next people they take care of are their family. The next people after that, the people who lobby for them and the corporations that support them. The next people after that, their fellow politicians and people who are close to them, maybe friends and family, we would say. And then after that, maybe whatever scraps are left to scrape by with are given to the elderly, because they're the only people actually voting for who's in political office right now. Then after that, there's almost nothing left over, and nobody surviving off of any kind of, for example, childbirth. It's at its lowest it's ever been because there's no benefit to having a kid in Japan. Luckily I was financially secure when I had kids, and I made sure of it. I waited till I was 30, had a full-time job, was married. My wife had a great career, still has a great career, me too. But companies are doing all kinds of underhanded things that the politicians are supporting, like, number one, not giving people full-time work anymore so that they don't have to pay national health benefits, which means they can't afford to even get medical help because they're not being covered by 70% medical help for a full-time employee in Japan. They're giving them ridiculous stuff like 7 hours and 45 minutes on the payroll, but then they also have to still work 12 hours. There's all kinds of really sketchy stuff like that going down. There's still people who are worked to death. They're told they only need to work 8 hours, but they can't leave until the boss leaves. And of course, the boss is the owner of the business, so they stay there 24/7, and those people never get to go home and see their family. If you can't see your family, why have one? If you can't live in the house that you're paying a mortgage on, why buy one? If you can't see the kids that would foster with your fellow partner, whether that be your wife or your husband, why have kids if you can't ever see them grow up? It's something I'm seeing happening all over Japan, to the point that like people don't want to have kids anymore. On top of it, the government does nothing to implement any sort of package to like help new parents out. For example, okay, in Italy for a while they were having a low population. It dipped to the lowest it ever was in like 10 years. And the government offered a bunch of bonuses and stipends and money and stuff to help people who wanted to have kids. And to the point that people almost started to abuse the system, which you got to be careful of too. But in Japan, it's nothing. Everything goes to old people. Any little bit left over after they've given everything to their friends and family goes to old people. And what do those old people do with it? A lot of them tear out things from their neighborhood that are too loud or noisy for them, like kindergartens that are too close by, playgrounds that are too close by, reducing even more reason to have a kid here in Japan. On top of it, marriage is at its lowest it's ever been in Japan. There's men in their 30s who have never dated in their life. That has risen considerably since the bubble era of Japan in the 1990s. Men and women are not starting families anymore, and it's because there's just no bonus to it. There's no motivation to. There's no help from the government to do so. And I think what you're finally starting to see is people as docile and calm as the Japanese finally push to the point where they can't stay docile and calm anymore. And it's sad because Japan has a lot of great qualities. The Japanese people are very resolute, very strong-willed, very hardworking, and they've been abused. They've been abused to the point that you're starting to finally see a lash back. And I'm not saying this is the way to lash back. In fact, I completely am against any kind of violence at all. I think the first person to lose any kind of argument about what they deserve is the person who brings a gun to a fight. I'm not a supporter of violence in any way. But I am shocked by how far Japan's been pushed that we're starting to see incidents like that, and it's kind of scary. It's bad enough, in fact, that I have actually considered moving back to the States because there doesn't seem to be a lot of future for my kids or myself when it comes to retirement age for me, and when it comes to getting a job age for my kids. The country is looking severely malnourished when it comes to a future. Severely hopeless. And I think we're starting to finally see that come back from the Japanese people. We're seeing more violent outbreaks, more murder, more crimes being done than ever, and now finally a political person in a high position struck down because someone got too fed up. I would love to hear whatever this guy's reason was. Again, I don't support anything done like that. That's awful and disgusting, and it's a horrible way to get your voice heard at all. But I'm shocked and, wishing to know what the reason is behind this. I think everybody always has that query when it comes to a violent act such as this. Especially just involving guns in Japan, just not something I'm used to hearing in the news. Anyway, guys, I'll try to follow up with this. I had a couple other videos planned to actually start until this just happened today, and like I said, it's not something I expected to do. I hope you like this new setup. I'm sorry I have to use it right now to give you such sad news. Like I said, I wish the best for Shinzo Abe and his family. I'm sure this must be insanely scary for them right now. And I'm not sure if he's going to make it, and if he does, great. I'm glad he made it, and if he doesn't, I'll follow up and try to let you know why all this went down, because it's just mind blowing to me. Anyway, guys, until next time, I've been Unrested, and I'll talk to you again real soon.